Greetings to all of you in my Introduction to Business class, a partnership between UMass Boston and City on a Hill. This video provides a wrap-up to our time together in this course, and what a semester it has been. I really enjoyed getting to know each of you, and my only wish is that we had more time together to meet in person. So with this video, I'm going to review a few topics from our class. If you're still looking for a topic for your final assignment, this might jog your memory and give you a good idea for a topic. And if you've already done your final assignment, this will be a wrap-up of our learning, a little trip down memory lane. For those of you heading off to college, I just want to say that I wish you all the best, especially in these uncertain times. Please do stay in touch. I'll be interested to hear how you're doing. And for those of you heading into your senior year, please let me know. Stay in touch. Let me know if I can be of any help as you make plans for college. You guys are a really talented group of students, and I hope you know that. So now, let's remember back to late January. Next slide. We started off by reading an article called "What is Money?" It seems kind of obvious, right? There's a $100 bill. We all recognize it. But do we stop to think about it? Money is a unit of exchange, easier to carry around than other valuable things that could be a unit of exchange but are not practical, be it strawberries or a block of gold. Could we do without money? Well, there are other ways to make trades, direct trades. That would be like a time bank, and these are cropping up all over communities. In a time bank, we trade jobs that we can do for each other, and we could trade without money. Just something to keep you thinking. Next slide. Do remember those basic business terms like revenues minus expenses equal profit. And hopefully profit is a positive number. Hint, the handouts from early in the class are full of terms and definitions that might be good to use for that part of your final assignment. Next slide. On January 29th in class, we talked about how business is global. And the example was how Starbucks was closing all its stores in Wuhan in China, and how that would affect the Starbucks company. Several of you had mentioned that you work at or like Starbucks. Who knew back then that this was just the first wave of what would become a massive issue touching all of our lives? And we were right out there thinking about it back in January. And where did I find that article about Starbucks in China? Next slide. In the business press. You sure heard me use that phrase often, the business press. In all these publications, like Bloomberg Business Week, Fortune, Harvard Business Review, Wall Street Journal, and more, you can keep up with the latest business issues, both current events and important concepts. So in this video, you'll often hear me say, I can send you a business press article on a topic of interest to you, and I can, so just let me know. Next slide. Our class was structured around 6 business disciplines. Operations, what do we make or do? Finance, how do we get capital to finance our operations? Human resource management, how do we find and motivate the people who make or do things? Marketing, how do we get customers excited about our product so we earn those revenues? Accounting, how do we keep track of the flows of materials, money, and people so that we have a well-run business? Information technology. How do information systems give us data and feedback so that we can improve how we function? Next slide. Operations. We spent some time talking about input, throughput, and output. Next slide. Several of you had mentioned that you liked retail, Macy's, Fashion Nova. For retail, textiles and clothing are inputs. We spent some time on the case When Tragedy Strikes the Supply Chain, a case that is based on the real-life tragedy of the Rana Plaza factory collapse in Bangladesh in 2013. You all wrote really terrific memos. Seriously, I was quite pleased with how you put yourself into someone else's shoes with empathy. Because when something like this happens, well, what do you say to factory owners, workers, customers, colleagues? Next slide. What about the throughput part? That is, the things a business does to transform inputs into outputs or a product. Throughput has technical aspects and human aspects. We talked about improving efficiency and safety, and some of you were intrigued by the high-tech wearable vest with built-in monitors. Is it a good way to take care of workers by ensuring that their movements are safe? Or is it just another way for Big Brother to keep watching and maybe even penalize workers? We had a good discussion. This is another example of a possible topic for your final assignment, just one of many possibilities. Go back to your notes and I can send you the original article from the business press. The product is called Strong Arm. The article is, warehouses are tracking workers' every muscle movement. Walmart and other companies are testing a monitoring device for workplace safety made by a startup called Strong Arm. It's in Bloomberg Business Week. And I can send you other articles from the business press. I've done that for some of your classmates, so just drop me an email or even send me a text and tell me what you're interested in. Now, we need capital to fund all those operations, so let's move to, next slide, finance. We spent some time on the case where Nick, remember Nick, the new junior auditor, had been looking over the financial records and thought he saw a problem. The question was, should he alert his Aunt Amelia, the founder of the company? We wrote memo number 2 on this case. It's a complex case. That's why I said in an earlier email, if you didn't submit this memo back in early March, you could do 2 topics for the final assignment instead of 1 as a makeup. This case had us talking about corporate finance, the finance of any one corporation or company, as well as accounting. The other type of finance considers, next slide, investment finance. What's going on in the stock market? Well, this chart shows what happened to the stock price for Starbucks when they had to close all those coffee shops in China. Ouch, that is a sharp decline. That happened the very first week that our class was meeting. Starbucks will bounce back. Investment finance is all about following what's going on in the stock markets. Meanwhile, the current crisis has really gotten everyone thinking about, next slide, human resource management. That's the business discipline we covered next. The people who get the work done and how they get paid. The classic topics in this discipline include hiring, promotions, wages, benefits, incentives, layoffs, workplace safety, training, talent development, diversity and inclusion, employee morale. These are all in the news right now as workers are facing a lot of hard work and hardships. In class, we talked about who gains when a company is doing well. Do workers get a share of the profits in the form of good wages? Not so much. Next slide. That's why today we see so many fights for a living wage, meaning a wage you can actually live on. We talked in class about one interesting case where a CEO in Seattle decided to pay every employee a minimum of $70,000 per year. Wow. Now that's not exactly a big trend, but it is good to see a CEO who realizes it's the right thing to do and good for business. Once again, let me know if you'd like to read an article about the CEO and his approach to pay. I can share you the final article from the business press. Another important topic in human resource management is how to support and encourage a diverse workforce. Next slide. In class on Wednesday, March 11th, which turned out to be the last time we met in person, who knew, we were just starting to talk about employee resource groups, or ERGs, which open up participation in the company to diverse groups of employees who might have historically been excluded or not have had a voice. These ERGs can help employees be their whole selves at work, build connections and networks, link to the community. I gave you a large stack of readings that day, and one reading was my research paper on ERGs. Next slide. On March 23rd, which was 1 week after Mayor Walsh announced that all Boston schools would stop meeting in person, I sent you a so-called reader's guide, basically a way to talk you through the research paper because we would not be meeting in person. In every business class I teach, I like to share a research paper of mine so that you can see what I work on as a professor and what the craft of research looks like in the field of business. I asked you to send me an email answering the question, would you join an employee resource group if there was one available where you worked? Why or why not? So you've spent some time thinking about ERGs. And look, the Reader's Guide defines a lot of different business research terms. It would be just fine to pick this topic, ERGs, for your final assignment and to dig a bit deeper. The Reader's Guide gives you a running start. I also gave you a brochure from the Xerox Corporation in hard copy and later by email on how they approach diversity. They've been real leaders in this area of ERGs, and Xerox is noteworthy for a famous first. Next slide. Ursula Burns, who came up through the ranks at Xerox as an engineer, became the first African-American woman to be CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That is a major milestone. She held that role from 2009 to 2016. Next slide. So on our journey through the business disciplines, we were just transitioning from human resource management, or HR, to marketing. Next slide. In fact, our case, should we fire him for that post, was a mix of HR and marketing. Remember, the post was about a Mercedes dealership, and there was an HR issue about managing an employee. But it was also a marketing case. Specifically, it was social media marketing, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and how companies can create social media posts that generate follower engagement. That means get your customers excited about your product, make sales, and bring in those revenues. I know I keep saying it, but if you'd like to learn more about social media marketing, email or text me and I can give you an article from the business press, either to use for your final assignment or just for your own interest. We didn't get to dig much deeper into marketing, but we did have a sneak peek at one important technique in marketing: focus groups. Sometimes marketing professionals conduct focus groups. That is, they want to know what potential customers think about their product, especially in comparison to a competitor's product. So they get a group of people together and have them try a product and ask them questions about it. Usually you get paid to be in a focus group, so it's nice to be invited to one. Next slide. So on March 4th in class, while some of you were off having fun at farm school, that seems ages ago, about 7 of us met, and among other things, we had some fun trying 2 different kinds of chocolate chip granola bars. We were like our own small focus group. We had talked in a previous class about Quaker Oats and about where they buy their oats as an input for their operations, and about how the Quaker pictured on their boxes is kind of a marketing image that conveys we are serious and honest. Anyway, we compared the Quaker Oats chocolate chip bar to the Walgreens Nice brand chocolate chip bar. Some of us thought Quaker Oats had a nicer texture, but noticed that Nice had 1 less gram of sugar. That's the kind of comparing that happens in marketing focus groups. And if we're talking about granola bars, our class favorite was definitely, next slide, the Luna Lemon Bar, tasty and healthy. It's less well known, probably because it's more expensive. Next slide. In fact, some of you asked about pricing and about the big picture of how markets and economies work. What this simple graph shows is that when the price is higher, the quantity that you sell, how much people are willing to buy at that price, will be lower. See, the line slopes downward. And of course, when the price is lower, the quantity sold is likely to be higher. Just a reminder that graphs and patterns and math are very important in business. And by the way, if we didn't already love Luna lemon bars, here's a great news item from, next slide, the Clif Bar company, which is the producer of Luna lemon bars. They made an announcement that they would pay $31,250 to each woman on the U.S. Soccer World Cup team in 2019 to make up for the pay gap that exists between the bonuses given to the men's national soccer team versus the women's national soccer team. That was a total donation of over $700,000. Why would they do that? I think they really do care about corporate social responsibility, and they want to associate themselves as a snack for healthy athletes. It's actually clever marketing. And on that note, athlete endorsements for products would make another great topic for your final assignment. I know there was some interest in that topic in class. I'm sharing with you an article from the business press on that very topic. And now that we're not doing final presentations live in class, more than one person can pick any given topic. Don't worry about that. Next slide. By covering the first 4 disciplines, we covered the heart of what makes up a business. Operations, what do we make or do? Finance, how do we get capital to finance our operations? Human resource management, how do we find and motivate the people to do the work? Marketing, how do we get our customers excited about the product? Together, these make a business model. The next 2 disciplines, accounting and information technology, are really about keeping track of all of this, being accurate, creating systems that improve efficiency, noticing patterns, catching errors, making improvements, taking the business to the next level. Accounting, how do we keep track of the flows of materials, money, and people so that we have a well-run business? Information technology, how do information systems give us feedback on how we're doing, help us make improvements, allow us to keep communicating with each other? I'll send along some readings about accounting and IT, but these will be just FYI for your information. They won't be for assignments. Of course, you can use them if you want for a final assignment. At this point, you're in the home stretch of the school year, and I will be in touch to make sure that everyone has completed all the assignments. I want you all to succeed in this class. Next slide. In closing, for the seniors in the class, I want to say cheers to the class of 2020. You certainly had to finish your senior year under extreme circumstances. And to the juniors, best wishes to the class of 2021. It has truly been a pleasure to work with all of you. Agent Scully over and out.